Back in the days, parents would often sell their child to a traveling circus or freak show, signing them up for a lifetime of exploitation and ridicule. These people were born with rare conditions or had deformities that society didn't understand. They traveled the country and sometimes the world, alongside others like them, kept hidden until showtime in case a glimpse shattered the illusion. Today, we dive into the lives of these iconic freak show performers who endured it all. Number 15. Rosa Matilda Richter. Rosa Matilda Richter, also known as Zazel, was the very first human cannonball. At just 14, she was launched from a spring-loaded cannon in 1877, soaring 20 feet before landing safely in a net. Over time, her skill grew, and she eventually reached heights of 100 feet. To create spectacle, fireworks, smoke, and gunpowder were used, though no actual explosives powered the stunt. P.T. Barnum quickly noticed her daring act and recruited her to his circus, sending her across Europe and America. She became a sensation, admired for her bravery and showmanship. Audiences were thrilled, but the danger was immense. In 1891, tragedy struck when Rosa missed her landing and shattered her back, ending her career. Once one of the most popular acts, her fall not only destroyed her physically, but also emotionally. Though remembered for her pioneering role, her story also reflects the extreme risks performers faced. The human cannonball act would later claim dozens of lives, mostly from failed landings. Number 14. Clyde Beatty, the lion tamer. Lion tamers captivated audiences by stepping into cages with some of the world's most deadly predators. For over 200 years, the act symbolized man's dominance over beast, though it was rooted in cruelty. Lions and tigers, deprived of natural freedom, were confined to small cages, poorly fed, and deliberately agitated to appear more ferocious. American trainer Clyde Beatty became famous in the 1920s, brandishing a whip and chair to hold back attacking animals in his circus shows. He carried a pistol as backup, a stark reminder of how unpredictable these acts were. Crowds were enthralled by the danger, but behind the spectacle was a brutal reality. These magnificent animals were exploited for human amusement. Injuries and deaths of trainers were common, but few sympathized with the animals themselves. Modern laws now regulate animal treatment in circuses, though the ethics of such performances remain heavily questioned. Beatty's act epitomized the uneasy mix of fear, cruelty, and fascination. Number 13. The 7 Sutherland Sisters. The 7 Sutherland sisters, Sarah, Victoria, Isabella, Grace, Naomi, Mary, and Dora, rose to fame in Barnum and Bailey's circus, not only for their musical performances, but for their extraordinary hair. Collectively, their flowing locks measured nearly 37 feet, a spectacle that became their signature finale. Audiences would gasp as the sisters, after singing together, let their hair tumble dramatically to the floor. Recognizing an opportunity, their father, Fletcher Sutherland, developed a 7 Sutherland Sisters hair grower, marketed using their fame as living proof of its effectiveness. The tonic became a sensation, selling $90,000 worth in its first year, an enormous sum at the time. With sales soaring, the sisters eventually retired from the circus and focused on their booming business. However, by the early 20th century, the rise of short hairstyles like the bob caused their empire to collapse. Still, they remain remembered as entertainers who transformed their natural appearance into lasting commercial success. Number 12. Flying Trapeze Artists. The flying trapeze was born in the mid-19th century with French acrobat Jules Léotard, who practiced over a swimming pool to perfect aerial somersaults. His daring routines soon became circus highlights, inspiring countless imitators. Performers swung high above audiences, leaping mid-air to grasp another's hands or bar, timing every move with absolute precision. The triple somersault, nicknamed the salto mortale, which means deadly leap, became the pinnacle of the act's danger. Without nets in the early years, a single mistake could prove fatal, and many performers suffered broken bones, spinal injuries, or worse. Despite these risks, trapeze artistry embodied the romance of the circus, graceful bodies defying gravity in seemingly impossible ways. Leotard's legacy even gave his name to the skin-tight garments still worn by acrobats today. Though safety nets are standard now, the trapeze retains its aura of danger and beauty. Number 11. The 161-year-old woman. Joyce Heth became P.T. Barnum's very first human attraction, billed as the 161-year-old former nursemaid of George Washington. Blind and frail, with sunken eyes that exaggerated her aged appearance, she would sit quietly while audiences marveled at her supposed connection to America's first president. Barnum claimed he purchased her for $1,000, describing himself as her owner, reflecting the grim reality that slavery was still legal in the U.S. during the 1830s. Joyce was taken on a major tour along the East Coast, drawing crowds who paid to witness what they believed was the oldest living woman on Earth. Newspapers questioned whether she was even real, with some speculating she might be an automaton. When Joyce died in 1836, doctors performed a public autopsy, charging admission to over 1,500 curious people. The truth emerged. She was only 80. Joyce's story exposes both Barnum's ruthless showmanship and society's disturbing fascination with exploiting age and disability just for money. Number 10. The Owlman. Martin Lorello, known as the Human Owl, or the Boy with the Revolving Head, was born in Nuremberg in 1885. Suffering from a severe spinal deformity, he possessed the astonishing ability to rotate his head a full 180 degrees. When he twisted, his back curved sharply, forming the shape of a question mark. In 1921, Lorello emigrated to the United States and began performing with leading sideshows such as Ripley's Believe It or Not, Ringling Brothers, and Barnum and Bailey. In addition to his head-turning act, he trained dogs to perform acrobatics. Although rotating his head made breathing difficult, he could still swallow liquids while contorted. Lorello became a fixture in Ripley's exhibitions throughout the 1930s. He died of a heart attack at age 70 and was cremated. Though his talent was painful and physically draining, his bizarre routine remains remembered as one of the most striking sideshow acts in American history. Number 9. Peter the Wild Boy. In 1725, hunters in Germany's Hirschwald forest discovered a boy around 12, living alone on nuts, plants, and acorns. His hair was matted, fingernails long, skin sunburned, and he could not speak, only grunting and squeaking. He moved on all fours, climbed trees easily, and wandered into villages stealing food or attempting to kiss women. Locals believed he had been abandoned as a baby and raised by animals, though no evidence of wolves or bears existed in the forest. Known as Peter the Wild Boy, his story fascinated England's King George I, who arranged for him to be brought to Kensington Palace. Treated as both curiosity and companion, he resisted clothes, preferred eating with his hands, and often slept on the floor. Princess Caroline hired tutors and servants, and Peter learned to walk upright and enjoy music. He lived into his 70s, though still nonverbal. Historians now believe he had Pitt-Hopkins syndrome, which explained his traits. Number 8. Knife throwers and the Wheel of Death. Knife throwing became a circus highlight in the late 19th and early 20th, blending danger with precision. Assistants often stood as living targets, strapped to boards or bound by cuffs, while knives were hurled around them. Audiences found the suspense irresistible, unsure if they would witness flawless skill or a horrifying mistake. One infamous variation, the Wheel of Death, appeared in 1938 with the Ringling Brothers. Assistants were strapped to a spinning wheel, sometimes blindfolded, while the thrower launched blades at dizzying speed. The whirling target magnified the risk, heightening audience terror. Despite its risks, the act caused surprisingly few deaths, though severe injuries were common. Crowds marveled at the balance between mastery and possible disaster, drawn to the uncertainty of each throw. Like other circus attractions, the act relied on exploiting human risk for fun. Though cool, knife-throwing routines embodied the precarious line performers walked, where skill alone determined survival on stage. Number 7. The Sacred Hairy Family of Burma. In the late 1800s, Barnum introduced Americans to something they had never encountered before: a Burmese family whose bodies were entirely covered in thick, soft hair. Their condition, later classified as hypertrichosis, had been carried through their lineage since 1796, when their ancestor She Maong was born in what is now Laos. At 5, She Maong was presented as a gift to the king of Ava, becoming a court favorite, and later marrying at 22. His children inherited the same trait, including his daughter Mafoon, and their unusual appearance passed through generations. When Burma fell into revolution in 1885, its palace was destroyed by flames, and the family escaped into the jungle. They eventually reached England as refugees, where a naturalist described them as intelligent, courteous, and well-educated. In 1888, they joined Barnum's American tour as the Sacred Hairy Family of Burma. Soon afterward, they disappeared from history as suddenly as they arrived, leaving behind a remarkable and mysterious bloodline. Number 6. Tightrope walkers. Tightrope walking has mesmerized audiences since ancient Greece, demanding balance, precision, and calm nerves. By the 19th century, it became a circus staple. Performers often crossed high wires without nets, adding fatal risk to each step. The Flying Wallendas, a German family troupe, became the most celebrated. They performed breathtaking pyramids, stacking family members on one another's shoulders while crossing a thin rope. Crowds gasped at the sight, fully aware that one slip could mean instant death. Some artists preferred walking barefoot to increase grip, while others relied on leather-soled shoes designed for traction. Daredevils elevated the act further, attempting crossings over canyons, rivers, or between skyscrapers. Many lives were lost to these dangerous feats, cementing the act's deadly reputation. Today, nets and harnesses protect most performers, but early pioneers relied solely on skill. Tightrope walking remains one of the best examples of human balance against gravity. Number 5. The Siamese twins. Chang and Eng Bunker, born in 1811 in Siam, now Thailand, became known worldwide as the original Siamese twins. Conjoined at the chest by a short band of cartilage, they were discovered in 1829 by promoter Robert Hunter, who paid their parents for the rights to exhibit them. Displayed as curiosities, the brothers toured extensively, performing feats like acrobatics, badminton, and demonstrations of coordination that fascinated audiences. After years in show business, they were tired of exhibition and retired to North Carolina, determined to live normal lives. Remarkably, they married sisters Adelaide and Sarah Yates, raising 21 children between them. Despite being physically bound together, they managed households and farms, proving they could function independently of the freak show world. Their story ended tragically in 1874, when Chang suffered a stroke in his sleep. Ang awoke to find his brother dead, and before doctors could attempt separation, he too passed away. Their lives remain iconic in sideshow history. Number 4. The Invulnerable Man. Mirin Dajo stunned the world with an act that seemed beyond human endurance. Born in 1912, he became known for allowing swords, skewers, and thick steel rods to be driven straight through his body, piercing from one side to the other, without flinching, bleeding, or sustaining visible injury. Doctors examined him under strict conditions, ran X-rays, and even observed impalements firsthand. To their astonishment, there was no trickery and no illusion. The weapons truly pierced his organs, yet he remained unharmed. By the 1940s, Dajo was an international sensation, performing across Europe before fascinated audiences. Scientists speculated about extraordinary pain tolerance, altered anatomy, or mind-body control, but no definitive answer was ever found. He challenged every assumption about human limits, proving himself a living mystery. Dajo never claimed to perform magic. He presented raw impossibility. He was a legend. Number 3. The Living Skeleton. Isaac earned the title, the Living Skeleton, after his body began wasting away mysteriously at the age of 12. No matter how much he ate, he couldn't gain weight. By 1865, while visiting a local carnival, a promoter spotted him and offered him a job. Initially, Isaac refused, but soon realized he could make a living from his condition. He joined the circus sideshow, billed as the original Thin Man. Within a year, he auditioned for P.T. Barnum and was hired at $80 a week, an impressive salary for the time. At 5 feet 6 inches, he weighed only 43 pounds by age 44, a dangerously frail state that left him constantly weak and ill. Despite this, Isaac married and fathered 3 healthy sons, proving his condition was not hereditary. Sadly, he died at just 46. His story remains one of tragedy and exploitation, highlighting how physical suffering was turned into a public spectacle. Number 2. The Human Fountain. Haji Ali, an Egyptian performer, became legendary for his astonishing ability to control his stomach with uncanny precision. His most famous act involved swallowing vast quantities of water and then expelling it in powerful, accurate streams, turning himself into a human fountain. His performances grew even stranger when he added kerosene to his routine. Ali would swallow water, then kerosene, spray the kerosene to ignite flames on stage, and finally extinguish the fire by regurgitating the stored water in exact bursts. He also shocked audiences with another unsettling display, swallowing live goldfish and bringing them back up alive and swimming. Spectators were horrified yet mesmerized, unable to look away. There were no hidden tricks, only his extraordinary mastery over his own body. Ali wasn't viewed as a magician, but as something beyond explanation. His bizarre abilities earned him fame, unease, and lasting recognition as one of the strangest and most unforgettable performers in sideshow history. Number 1. Ella Harper. Ella was known as the Camel Girl because of a rare condition called genu recurvatum, which caused her knees to bend backward. Walking on all fours was far more comfortable for her, and this unusual posture gave her the nickname. Despite her physical difference, Ella was mentally sharp and ambitious. She joined circus sideshows, where audiences paid to witness her extraordinary gait, though what they saw as shocking was simply her natural movement. Ella, however, had a clear plan: to use her earnings to fund her education. After a few years performing, she left the circus to pursue schooling and a life outside of spectacle, turning her unusual circumstances into an opportunity for independence. Unlike many sideshow stories steeped in tragedy, Ella's narrative stands as a rare success. Her condition made her intriguing to 19th-century audiences, but her determination ensured she was remembered for her choices, not merely her appearance. If you found this video interesting, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.